okay. I think it is better without the music. Are we supposed you can do your best. As I say, if I'm failing multiple times and it's taking too long, I'll just I'll accept defeat. You guys can help me keep count though. I think that would be more helpful. Maybe not every like 1 count, because then it'll be maybe too spammy, but maybe like every 5 or 10 you can put it in the chat. Might be a bit easier. Because people are not going to be synced up second for second either. Yeah, went too quick that time. So early quick fail there. Let's get it again. With this, I'd always rather fail early. Failing at the first 10 is not a big deal. It's like a minute top. I think with this one of the other ways in which I fail is sometimes if you don't go back far enough, or you don't choose like a wide enough arc or whatever your method is, it doesn't trigger, like it doesn't start the loop again. And so I think the last time I tried it, I went a different direction. It was a bit more vague. But I think basically for me, like running up to this tower and basically almost touching the tower and then coming back is a little bit easier for me. So I think that's why I prefer to do it like that. So basically go back, kind of touch the tower, and then that seems a little bit more reliable. I think if you try and go off in other directions, you might be more inconsistent, and then you run back in, and then it doesn't trigger. I think the last time I did it live, that's what was happening. And there was a few occasions where every like 5 or 10 I'd run back in and it wouldn't trigger. And that's how you get more likely to make mistakes, I think. And going too quickly, I think, is another one. Because you almost assume like your brain starts to recognize where the flash comes. And then sometimes maybe you go like, you predict that it's going to happen anyway because it's so reliable. And you get a bit too twitchy. Trying to remember, I think for the attack only I had to do it with without no encounters, which is really dangerous. I think I needed to get to 50 to get the strength spheres. I think that's what I did. Yeah, I'm trying not to step count. Just literally just going by the screen. Just waiting for the white out. See you later, Grimscythe. Thanks for hanging out. But again, after I've seen people do those like Elden Ring streams, where they're like doing Elden Ring no-hit runs and shit, that require like intense concentration, and it's just constant reactions and split-second life or death stuff, and they're still like interacting with the chat. So this is like, this is just simple. This is a walk in the park. Or at least it should be. Yeah, I will be going a bit silent at times, but I try and keep focus here. It is 100% better than jump rope. You guys will need to keep chat popping until I'm done. Especially since on the VODs now, people can see the chat. At least they'll have something to kind of, for their eyes to scroll through while I do this. Depending on how things go, I might edit this bit out in the VODs. It's a long time, man. I don't know why they had 200, because they have rewards up to 50. Just make it 100. I think that would have been the fair, much fairer number. 200 just seems so stupid. Yeah, you can mess with the people that aren't coming to catch it live. I'm literally not counting, I'm kind of counting on the chat. Okay. Triple digits. Almost went too early there. I felt that. Almost went too early. Sheesh. I think once we supposedly get to 200, I'll try and do a few more for safety. But it's the kind of thing where if you check, let's say you don't get hit by the lightning, you don't have to do it all in a single segment, right? As long as you don't teleport out to another area or something. Let's say you had 198 of them, you went into the agency to check. You didn't get hit during that period and you saw it was 198. Can you not come back and just dodge a couple more? So I don't think you fail if you stop too early, as long as you don't get hit again, I think. Also today I literally have my controller plugged in by USB. I thought there's a small chance that it runs out of charge somehow. Like right at the wrong moment. So make sure I'm ready. Hopefully not going to fail due to technical reasons. Just for skill issue reasons. Yeah, when I'm playing, I don't like to... When I'm doing this stuff, I don't like to rest. I feel like you catch a bit of a groove. And I like to try and keep the rhythm. Even if I fail, it feels more right to me than taking breaks. Yeah, the music's a bit bugged at the moment. I didn't deliberately turn it off. When you use the speed up and you turn it off again, sometimes it can break the music. But I do think it might be better like this. And so if you also agree that it might be better, it's something to note for the future. You can turn off the music volume, I guess, from the settings if you want. You don't want it to help. Of course you don't. But Raw, have you ever actually done the 200 lightning dodges before? It's for shoot. Yeah, I do think it was worse in the PS2 version. And I always heard things about certain setups, like TV setups and stuff, where it affects like there's input lag and this kind of thing. And people were just having so many problems with trying to get the dodging, even though they knew that their timing was good. But yeah, because there's no music, it should be close to silent in the background. There's like a little bit of like environmental noise, but it's very, very subtle. And because I keep the music, like the general sound, the sound mix a little bit lower for the game so that you can hear the commentary more clearly, it's basically going to be almost silent. What? I pressed it. Huh? I swear I pressed it. What? 100% pressed it. There's no way. I was in such a groove. There's no way I missed that press. Wow. Normally I can feel it if I'm off. That one didn't feel off. That's so odd. No. That sucks. Yep, that's the worst. Ah. Yeah. This is why I always say, I genuinely believe that for me, personally, the lightning game is worse. It really is worse for me, because the chances of that happening, even if you get everything right, it's still like 15 minutes of your time. So I think the last maybe 3 times I've got the Sun Sigil and I've got the Venus Sigil. I've always got the Sun Sigil quicker every time. I think this kind of set of streams as well is more like definitive proof that, for me at least, the lightning game is just worse. So this is a final attempt. Whatever I get to at this point, that's as far as I go, and then we'll just, as I say, I already hacked it into my inventory just for this particular situation. And I'll edit out this chunk from the VOD so people don't have to watch these fails, but I might run the stream a little longer just to compensate. So last try. No. No. Again, it's so tight there. I feel like I didn't get it wrong again, but nope. So I'm going to admit defeat on this one. Again, if I kept going and I tried like a few more times, I'm sure I'd get there, but it's too tight. So there we go. What we're going to do, as I say, before the session, I did hack this in. So I got to 58 last time, yeah. So I had like a 160 run and then a 58 or something like that. So collectively, we dodged over 200. But the main thing is, the one thing that I definitely would have made sure to do was that I dodged enough to get the strength spheres, because that's actually relevant for the playthrough as well. So I think that was the main thing. Obviously, if I was doing terribly and I couldn't even get to 50, then it would have been a problem. But getting the strength spheres was good enough. Yeah, it's very tough. Once you get like your first fail, that's why like the previous time I did it on the second try. I think I got quite a few on the first one. And then I did it on the second, which surprised me. I didn't think I'd be able to hold it together for the second one. But I was less clutch this time around, and I just couldn't do it on the second. Well, or the third. So this is the Fine Spirit Award. Now hopefully we get some dodging awards. There we go. I forgot what the other rewards were. X Potion. Okay. Fine. Yeah, I think once I got to like 150, 160 on the first one, I should have closed the chat then. That's when I needed to focus the most. MP Sphere. Not that important. And Strength Sphere. There we go. Wait. Oh, you get something for 100. I forgot about that. Ah, okay. I'm usually only ever after the Strength Sphere, so I don't care, usually. And you get something for 150. Shit. You see, I forgot all of this stuff. But that should be it. There you go. So at least we know we made it to 150. Let's see. Wait, it wasn't that one, right? This one. 162. Apparently that's what I managed. There you go. Okay. So it was, I think it was a good effort. But as I say, doing it on a live stream format is definitely harder. I would have needed probably a few more goes at it, but I don't want to take up too much time. I got somewhere to be after the stream session as well, so I can't take like another extra hour just to lightning dodge. So we did our best, but we move on. Okay, so now from here, I think what we do next is let's power up these Celestials. Let's get them ready first. And then I need to decide who I'm going to give the Strength Spheres to for this run. So once we actually get to, once we actually get our Celestial Weapons and we're kind of ready to roll for the next bit, then we'll make some decisions about what to do. Yeah, at least the music's back finally. Just feels too weird without the music. Okay. It's gonna be like, can this be sped up? Ah, these can't be sped up. It's gonna be like 5 minutes watching these. Yeah, I always say it. I think these days, especially if you are watching a lot of YouTube premiums, like if you can only afford one subscription, like Netflix versus YouTube, but I do think YouTube subscription is better value for money. It's more worth it. But again, it's like if you are genuine, if you're spending like, I don't know, 5-10 hours a week or something watching YouTube stuff, then I do think it pays for itself. You get like, I think you get the YouTube music for free, which apparently is pretty good too. Being able to listen to stuff like in the background, like minimized videos and stuff, like it's definitely good. But yeah, if you have lots of other subscriptions that you're already actively using, then yeah, obviously it's definitely expensive and too expensive, I think. But I do think it's just gaining more and more value. The more like high quality long form content is on YouTube, the people are just spending more time watching YouTube instead of things like Netflix compared to maybe 5 years ago, I reckon. So it's gaining value compared to how it was before, it's my opinion. But obviously, changes for every individual. I don't know if I may get a student discount for YouTube. Yeah, maybe. And I always say it. They're not like, I guess, the most by the book methods, but there are ways to get YouTube Premium for far cheaper than, like, let's say if you live in the UK, there's definitely cheaper ways to do it, but you'd have to research that stuff yourself. I'm not going to tell you how to. Radio is dead. Lock your screen to YouTube when you drive. Yeah, I mean, for me, I still have my Spotify subscription. I'm a bit lucky that a lot of my subscriptions to those things I began when I lived in Turkey, and the subscriptions in Turkey are a lot cheaper. And so since I started with there, and I have like my bank accounts and that kind of stuff that are still active in Turkey, I get to basically continue to benefit from cheap Spotify / YouTube Premium, that kind of thing, but obviously that's a pretty unique case that most people are not going to have the luxury of, so it doesn't work for everyone. I think if I had to pay like full price for everything, it'd be like, you know, like Disney, YouTube, Netflix, Spotify, all that stuff, I would have to drop some of them. It's too expensive. I couldn't have all of them. Are we done with that one? No. But for those of you guys that have like multiple subscriptions, so it could be like, as I say, like Netflix, Disney, I think other than the ones that let you literally watch TV, so I'm not talking about like UK people like Sky or whatever, what is the most valuable one for you guys that you would just not give up over any of the others? I guess we could include console subscriptions too, like PSN Plus. I doubt most people would give that up last, but what is like the most important subscription for you guys that you pay for, that you would be least likely to give up? PSN for the online play. Fair. YouTube Premium for me, the ads have bullied me into it. Unfortunately, yes, I definitely understand that. Crunchyroll, Amazon, Spotify, maybe Netflix. You have to choose one. Which is the one out of those that you would not give up? Hulu, since it's tied with my Spotify. That's a little bit cheating, but fine. Spotify. The last one to give up with PSN. Yeah, I guess for those people that do a lot of online gaming that you need the PSN for, then that probably makes sense. PSN is worth it, especially for the old games. That's also true. Yeah, I guess that's one advantage of being a big like collector or general buyer of still a physical media. Obviously, you can save a bit on the subscription stuff. But it does get expensive, man. Like, let's say there's a new series you're interested in. Let's say you want to watch Breaking Bad. And you want to pick up, like, the box set of all of that stuff. Like, just for one series, obviously, the pay-as-you-go system of buying physical media is probably quite expensive, too. Mace Erica with the right answer. There you go. That's the answer I was looking for. The Dansg08 subscription. Okay, I think that's everything, right? For now? Right, let's equip some of these just so they're all equipped. Okay, so Oren's not ready yet. You're not ready yet. But these guys are. So I guess from this point onwards we move on to monster capturing, I think, right? I guess we have a choice. Either now that we have the Celestial weapons, we basically kind of start to dive into the Omega Ruins, or we monster capture. I guess because I don't have all of the Celestial weapons powered up technically yet. I'd rather capture weapons, but then it would be more of a challenge to do the Omega Ruins now. So, too sure. Hearted Dad, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. The things you did for that Onion Knight, the things, yes. And for Orange, you need to beat Dark Valor for. Do I? Don't I just need to... Wasn't it just capture related? I don't think I have to fight Dark Valor for, right? Okay. Do we even have capture weapons for everybody? Sure I do. I don't think I brought them for everybody though. I don't need to buy them for everybody, but I'm just kind of curious. Hold on. Let me see people's accuracy stats. Yuna's accuracy is pretty good, actually. It would be kind of nice if Yuna had one, but... Hey Blackbird, welcome. Dark Valor is just for Tornado if you don't backtrack after Experimental. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Tony G, that's awesome. It would be hugely appreciated. It's very, very beneficial. So, now the question becomes, what do we do about these strength spheres? We've got 3 of them, so that means we can get ourselves a plus 12 boost in strength. Do we just simply give them to Oren because he has the most strength anyway? Or do we give them to Waka because he's the one we're probably going to use more in the post-game? See you later, Michaels. Thanks for joining us and for gifting the memberships as always. Really appreciate that. See you next time. So yeah, I'm leaning towards giving it to Waka, even though Oren has the higher strength stat. I feel like he's probably still going to benefit more from it, like attack reels and that kind of thing. Will do more damage. He has more accuracy, so he can actually hit stuff with it. I think Waka's probably the best. So, to give people a recap of what we're doing here, because it has been a little while since we've got back to this stage, let's have another little look here, and let me explain once more. Catch people up. So, as you can see, of this huge sphere grid, we've only activated this particular portion of the grid. This is basically the portion that's assigned to Waka naturally. And to break out of this, you need to use, you need to get to this bit, break open this bit, and then naturally you leave his grid and you start to go into other people's grids. Now, for this challenge, what we've done is, basically, the whole point of Randomizer is that it gives you abilities that, in like an arrangement that you normally wouldn't have. And so if you allow people to break out their grids and just start traveling around wherever they want, you can basically just pick up all of the abilities anyway, and then it doesn't become a randomizer anymore, because you basically just get all of the stuff that you would already get anyway. So what we're doing is we're restricting people from leaving their grid. So Waka must stay within this portion of the grid for basically everything that we do from here on. And we're going to see how much of the post-game we can even do under these restrictions. So what I did say we could do, to maximize every single piece of kind of stat growth that we can place purple spheres in anything that we want, and later on we can place clear spheres to basically beef ourselves up as much as we can. So, for example, for Waka, we can put the 3 strength spheres into here, give him some more strength. We can break open this lock, create a new empty node. We can use a clear sphere on this one and put like a strength if we can get one in the future. And so we're basically going to try to maximize what we can. But in terms of the abilities we have and the sheer number of nodes available for each person's grid, there's going to be like a cap on it, like a significant cap on it. And so that's kind of where we're at the moment. So I think, for now, unless anyone has any good arguments against it in the chat, I am looking to give Walker some extra strength spheres, because I'm going to need him to be as powerful as possible for the post game. So we have 4 of them actually, I forgot. So that will take him up to 58 strength, which would be a nice boost. Raw, you're going to have to rewind the stream. I mean, we can give multiple characters, we can only give them like 1 strength sphere, so you could give 4 characters 1 each. But I don't think it would help. Like, Lulu has a pretty nice strength stat, but her accuracy is only 5, and I'm not sure that's going to be the way forward here. Auron is the next best choice, but again, his accuracy is quite low. I'm not too sure. The TLDR is that I want to give Walker all of the strength nodes that I have, because it's going to take a long time for us to basically be able to get any more strength nodes to give to anybody else. And so I feel like giving Walker the 4 strength spheres gives me the best chance of defeating the most enemies. So, yeah. Saw a lot music, thanks for joining us. Both of them are good in early purple sphere grinding. Yeah, one argument for Auron is that his celestial weapon's pretty nice, in terms of like when he has lower HP he does more damage, and his agility actually, normally his agility is a detriment in a normal run, but his agility is actually better than Walker's here. But as I say, the one problem is that especially in places like Omega Ruins, there's going to be like random encounters, for example, that Auron will just keep missing all the time because of his accuracy, and we're going to need to rely on Walker to take those guys out. And so that's why, purely for accuracy alone, it feels to me like Walker's got to be the best choice. All you got to do is beat up Juggernaut. Yeah, I mean, given the challenge, maybe beating Juggernaut's not going to be super easy. But, I don't know. I think I'm going to give it to Walker. I haven't heard much of a compelling argument. Like, Auron's a decent choice, but I think Walker's the better choice. So, here we go. Maybe Yuna to scale the Aeons. Now that's an interesting argument. That is an interesting argument indeed. Let's actually see what the Aeons are even at right now. Honestly, do they need any scaling? I think we kind of like, it might be a bit OP to even use the Aeons. Like 147 strength is a bit too OP. I think I'd rather stay away from using the Aeons. They might kind of tip the scales a bit too far. It is a good idea, and it's a good argument, but I think it might not be a good idea to actually use them. They might be too strong. That 147 strength is just going to one-hit KO everything, so I think it's a bit unfair. So I think I'll probably not use them. But yeah, good idea, but I think no. Who does have I think Yuna has Provoke, right? Also. So that's another thing to think about. For monster capturing, obviously Provoke is important, but I think I'd probably have her just tank. Just Provoke and keep her alive, and then have the others do the damage. So yeah, definitely a bit more in the discussion, but I'm gonna go for Walker. I'm gonna trust my instincts here. I would judge you harshly if you use them. Yeah, can't have that. Okay. He's going to need a few more sphere levels before he can get the other ones, but that's not too bad. Now, are there any other purple spheres that might be of use to us right now? Again, honestly, for luck, I'd probably prefer to give it to Walker. More critical hits for him. Yeah, okay, we'll leave more of the decisions until later. For now, we'll do the easy monster capturing and just begin with that. And kind of round off the session with the early monster capturing here.
Here we go!
Yeah, it's a shame it didn't last very long, but... What did you miss? You missed a whole bunch of Blitzball, and then I failed to do the lightning dodging. I got to 162 and then 58 and then I gave up. It was too difficult. Could not maintain my focus for long enough to complete it. But the Besaid music in general, all of them are superb. And of course the first encounter was an ambush, but we're obviously going to go into kind of hyper turbo mode here, just get things done as quickly as possible. Especially for the early stuff, I just tend to not keep count of how many I've caught. I wait to see the message. But yeah, even against obviously the first bird enemy, like Warren's still missing. The only crap part is when you speed it up so much, you don't get to hear the music for as long, because the encounter obviously happens within like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, so... But I think that's the better option than going really slowly and ×1 speed capturing 10 of everything. It's just too long. I did ask, I did do a poll, and like a whole bunch of people responded, and they said they want me to do the whole kind of adventure. Yeah, it's basically we went back to attack only. I think on ×4 it's fine, it literally takes like 2 seconds for an encounter to appear. Yeah, you could put on more encounters, but it's literally like... Now that I've said it, it took like 5 seconds. But... Is there a way, I wonder, to mod this like track to change it to something else? Or like basically, it would be nice if there was a mod where you basically get to keep the area music for each area. So in Besaid, for example, you would never hear the battle theme. And it was kind of seamless, the same way that they do it in Zanakan Ruins. I think, again, someone like Carithian might know. That would be a really nice mod to have for monster capturing, so you don't have the constant music shifting to the battle theme. But I doubt it exists. Unfortunately, a lot of things for Final Fantasy X where you think, oh, there must be a mod for that, there just isn't. So, we'll see. I'd be surprised if there was one. Especially in terms of making it seamless, they probably can't do it. Diacore for life, thanks for joining us and appreciate you for the 200k. I still think it's strange that the Garuda isn't at Besaid anymore. Yeah, true. I think they should have had it be a Besaid capture. Okay, so Condor limit not reached, but the Flan limit's been reached. Is there anything about the story of Final Fantasy X that you think could have been improved or handled better? I think not immediately, off the top of my head. I think I've said things like in the past, I would have liked a little bit more time in Dreams Anakin, I think. I would have liked to have got to see Tidus's life before it all happened. Like they did it very quickly and efficiently to establish that he's from this city and he's a star blitzball player and whatever. But I think if, especially because I saw it in the Ultimania stuff where they had this whole like story, like a bit more of a backstory for Tidus, and you spend a bit more time in Zanakan before the whole thing happened. I think that's one of the things I would have liked to have seen, maybe, like for the start of the game, a little bit of time in Dreams Anakin, and just see what life is like there, and see Tidus' life a little more. I think this one's the only one left. Yeah, the Dingo needs 1 or 2 more captures. I think that the Omega Ruin should have been in the main game, not the post game. It's definitely interesting. They could have very much turned it into something more. In a remake, I would like to see that. I always say in a remake, I would have liked to have seen... they could potentially dabble with turning the Jektor and Braska story into more like the Laguna sections of Final Fantasy VIII. I think that would work. Give the game a little more runtime and kind of get to see them in battle and stuff, I think could have been very cool. And add a little bit more kind of context to their story than just cutscenes. So I think maybe, because there's enough of their story there and it runs in parallel to like their story, even though they do things in a different order, I think you could create enough crossover to do it. Okay, we've captured enough of everything. we're good. Besaid should be done. So yeah, I think that those are a couple of things off the top of my head. Let me think. Anything else?
You're counting.
I always thought the Via Purifico section was a little bit like kind of silly almost. Like it's not something it was really bad, it needs to change kind of thing, but I think like some improvements could be made there possibly. It just feels a bit too kind of tropey, like oh let's throw them into here, like no one's ever survived this before. I don't know, just like, I feel like it could have been done a little better maybe, but I'm nitpicking there, like it's not. There really isn't that much I would change. Like things that I would potentially add, as we've discussed, but I think that would be it. Yeah, so once again, as Free Horizon says, that's another thing I definitely agree with. The Seymour side material, thankfully, if you do enough of your own exploration in the game, you get to fill in a lot of gaps, like when we revisited, well, when we got Anima, and we heard from Seymour's mother and the story and stuff. Gaining a bit more context for Seymour would have been nice because... Hoffenheim, thank you for the donation, by the way. I think he's like... It would have given him a little more balance and humanized him a little bit more. Like, it wouldn't have made us suddenly like him or have a moral dilemma about him. But I think having a little bit more context to why he became the way he did and what he had to suffer through. I think getting to see that a little bit more for basically one of the primary antagonists of the game. I think that definitely would have been nice. But once again, it's more of an addition than a change. Like, something that they didn't do well. So, yeah. I think those are definitely some of the things that could work. You do see him in his Anakin memory before the play. Yeah, you do, but I think like something a little bit more significant. I think like bringing the Barge Temple into the story a little more. I think like there could be more that would enhance the experience a little more. And I think it's a little bit almost too little too late with Seymour by that stage. Especially by the time he speaks to his mother and like the story with her and that kind of thing. It's like it's so far gone in the story that I think having it be a little bit more like something you discover a little bit more earlier about him or like alongside the story could have been a little better. So that you have slightly more mixed emotions during the kind of main playthrough. I definitely would have changed Seymour's like theme or the way that they used it. I always complain about that. The whole like when he's first introduced, I always say it, but like that theme is just so like it's so obvious what he is that I would not have used it the first time he appears. Okay. Yeah, I like the theme, like, once you've established that he's definitely gonna be a bad guy in the story. But I think at the start, yes, like, Tidus doesn't like him a bit, he doesn't get a good vibe from him, and I don't think we get particularly great vibe from the guy. But I think it kind of just, like, so instantly was like, hey guys, like, this is a evil guy theme. It's just, they needed to save it, I think, for a little later. Yeah, this is battle dialogue. That's what this little break here is. Yeah, because I mean, Dreams Anakin is such a cool. For me at least, it's always been one of the coolest looking areas in the game, and so it's kind of a bummer that you get this very tiny little bit of it that you ever get to see. Or even walk around in. It's a shame. Okay, so limit reach for that. Limit reach for that. Need to check the Regora as well. Okay, right on cue. Okay, still need to capture more of those. Seymour and Yuna are very interesting opposites. One had parents who used them, and the other had parents who loved them. I think that distinction is made clearly if we learn more about Seymour earlier. For sure. Okay, Killer Bee we still need more of. So Killer Bee and Regora is what we need. Yeah, I think there was a Final Fantasy Union video. I remember like a thumbnail of like a split screen Yuna and Seymour. Okay. Yeah, Waka's telling her again. It's like, leave those to me. They have a proper discussion about it. Okay, so I just need Regoras now, I think. Yeah, the Simurgin Mushroom Rock. Sorry, Jose, I think it is. It was a bit annoying. So we still need more Regoras. Yeah, I mean, for all that I've said about Final Fantasy X, I still think, story-wise especially, I don't have many complaints at all. I really don't. It's just great. I still think for me, it's still my favorite story holding game. It's just the best. It really is. Okay. I think with these, it's still quicker to just do this stuff than escape. Just want to fight a Regora one more time, just to be sure. Okay, there we go. So Killica's also complete. The ×4 is such a godsend here, it really is.
You're count.
Let's go to Mihan.
Yee-haw! Here we go.
Yeah, you guys know me. I always have loved the voice acting for Seymour, especially. Lightning dodging was a fail, unfortunately. I pretty much predicted that one. I generally try to be quite honest about these things. I had a bit of a good streak, so there was someone who was like, oh, he's saying it might be a problem, and then he just does everything first time, but I know, like, lightning dodging is one of those ones that can definitely trip me up. And I think the last time I did it, I kind of got a little bit lucky that I did it the second time on a live stream. So I had a feeling that, especially because I had such a great run with the Chocobo, I thought this one's going to trip me up a bit. I'm going to struggle. And so I think I probably kind of, I gave myself some anxiety about it before I even tried it. It was 162 for the record. Yeah, I'm only human. I'm going to struggle sometimes too. $162 is still better than my best streak of 0. That's fair. Yeah, I think the game had to balance things out a little bit. I did have a bit too much of a good run with the Chocobo. That was obscene. To do it first time, like, you can have all the experience in the world, but getting it first time is ridiculous. About the Seymour thing, they should introduce him like Arden in 15. Honestly, at this stage, I don't even remember how they introduced Arden in 15. It's already been nearly 8 years now since I played it, and I haven't played it since. So, but I do remember him not being as like again, he was kind of, it's kind of obvious that he wasn't going to be a good guy, but like that he wasn't going to be on your side at least. But he wasn't like that overtly an antagonist, I think. I don't mind how they introduced Seymour at all either. I think, but for me, that's why my biggest beef was always with the theme. It really was. Like, his introduction in general was fine. Like, it was kind of cool the way that Tidus found him annoying. Like, he didn't respect the fact that everybody was already so, like, you know, bowing to him and all this kind of stuff. I do like all of those aspects. And then you see that he already has like a different way of seeing things, where it's with Operation Mi'ihen, he's like, I'm saying this to you as a citizen of Spira, not as a maester. Pretend you didn't see them. Like, it's, I reckon if you pair that stuff with like not having such a obvious theme, and making like the character design obviously gives him away a little bit as well with that crazy hair and shit. But he could have a little bit of an air of like this trailblazing maester that's like young and dynamic, and he wants like a new solution for Spira. He wants to do things differently to his predecessors. And at least at the early stages, you might think that that might be a good thing. He might actually be someone that's looking for new answers too, in like a positive way, potentially. But I think just too many things come together to make it pretty obvious that clearly he's got some evil shit on his mind. And so I think that's the one thing that doesn't work as well for me. Yeah, I think it probably depends a little bit on when you played it as well. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm saying all of this now, but the first time I ever played the game, I probably didn't catch on like as early or as strongly as I did like later on. So I still stand by what I say in general. I think that's one area that I think they could have done a bit better. And if they ever do remake it for new players who don't know the story at all, I think they can add a little bit more there. But I think he's just not interesting. What, you think Seymour's not interesting? I think his like backstory and his like, you know, his view, his plan for the world generally makes him interesting enough for me. But given everything that we know about Seymour, you still think he's uninteresting, or you think the way they presented his story and like, you know, his history and all that kind of stuff, you think that wasn't done well enough to make him interesting? Why does Yuna not get AP? Is she dead or mod broken? That's a good question. I didn't notice that. I still think it's uninteresting, just it all just doesn't amount to much. Fair enough. I think I have to disagree with that one in terms of him being uninteresting, but obviously that's fair. Okay, that one's limit reached, that one's limit reached. Okay. Everything's scrolling through so fast, I'm checking the chat too. Yeah, her AP is stuck. I don't know why. That's a good spot. I really don't know why. I'll have to look into that. It's early stages at the moment, like no one's really going to get much in the way of level ups from these APs, so you know. Who would be your favorite villain in the franchise? I think it's probably a basic answer, but probably still Sephiroth. I think honestly, maybe a bit of a hot take, but Final Fantasy in general, if you look at the entire series, I don't think their villains are particularly strong, like as a collective. I think that's one area, like if you compare the quality of the party that you get, like the protagonist party, versus the quality of the villain you get in the story, I think there's a bit of an imbalance across like the entirety of Final Fantasy, if you ask me. So Sephiroth and then Kefka would be up there. Then I do think after playing, I always say after playing the DLC of 15, I think Arden really came up for me as a really good villain, because he's way less of a villain than you realize, kind of thing, and they've done that in a good way. So I think Arden's up there for me. But yeah, I just don't think there's an incredible like range to choose from, like as genuine top tier villains. I think Caius gets a lot of love too, from 13, 2, and 3. But I feel like he's not. I think the games are not being as good probably is a detriment for him. Like if he was part of great games, I think Caius would have been like even more remembered. Yeah, I made that joke previously on Twitter. There was a post doing the rounds about like the greatest Final Fantasy villain. I posted a shot of I think it was like the greatest villain arc or something in Final Fantasy history, and I posted a screenshot of Nimruk and being like the greatest arc is when you sign Nimruk, where he goes from being like the biggest villain of the game to to being one of the heroes. So I think he has a great arc. So yeah, that's why I do feel like the villains of Final Fantasy are... I do think they're not one of its strongest points in terms of games. Like I always almost, like whenever I really like a Final Fantasy game, I tend to always talk about like the cast, like the team, the protagonists and the party members and all that kind of stuff. But I rarely talk about the villains that much. Honestly, I think like the reason I probably still say Sephiroth is because I kind of combine him together with Hojo. And I think Hojo, like the whole scientist element and his like pursuit of, you know, like science and like knowledge and trying to create things and that kind of stuff, the madness that ensues as a result of that, I always found like made it more interesting. So I think Hojo is pretty interesting in that sense too. But I kind of tend to combine them both together as like a collective, like they're the collective villains. Yeah, I think Hojo probably doesn't get talked about enough when people are discussing the villains, because he doesn't have, you don't really have like a, you know, definitive final boss battle against him and that kind of stuff. But if you look at who's really pulling the strings in that story, and like who's actually doing most of the evil shit and that's doing the villainous stuff, I would say like Hojo very much so is a villain of that story. So I think Hojo is definitely up there too. Yeah, I think that's one thing that in Remake I'd kind of like to see, you know, like the third remake. I think the final Hojo fight we have is when we go back to Midgar, and it's like we fight like the, what was it? The Proudclad? And then you go up Shinra Tower and then you fight Hojo for the last time. And there's like the 3 different forms and stuff. Like that Hojo fight I think needs to be something like really special. Like they need to really make that into a really great battle, I think, in the third game. Okay, so we still have a little bit more capturing to do. Here I've kind of lost track completely. I don't know how many jewel horns I have, how much of that stuff I have. What's your favorite Final Fantasy X enemy design? You think? Are we talking purely in terms of like the way the enemy looks, or if we're like combining the kind of mechanics and stuff of the enemy as well? Because it might be different answers based on that. Is it better to capture starting from Omega Ruins to Besaid, or the other way around? I always do it the easy way around, just so that I can pick up stuff along the way much more easily, because obviously in a normal run you'd be wanting to kind of pick up the bonuses that you get from capturing everything in a particular area, and so by the time you get to Omega Ruins you'll be stronger and you'll have more like items to play with and that kind of thing. So I think it makes more intuitive sense to start from the easy one. But there might be arguments to do it the other way too. I don't know. Maybe if you like a challenge, obviously, that would be one example. Brunette, thank you so much. And Danny, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to be signing off very soon, unfortunately. So if anyone that's just joined, I'm almost wrapped up for today. But we'll be back at it in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully. And continue to make progress. It will be basically purely capture sesh. But then, especially once capturing is over, then like the real stuff begins, and we'll start to get much closer to the end of this particular adventure. Always wish there was another temple in Aeon, maybe a water-based Aeon like Leviathan. Yeah, the water, I always say it, water gets weirdly ignored in Final Fantasy in a lot of the games. I don't know why. Yeah, definitely a water Aeon again when they're remaking the game in the future, which they inevitably will. I'd like to potentially see something like that added. There's so many Final Fantasy games where like there's no water Aeon, or they always seem to have lightning, fire, and ice in terms of spells or summons or anything, but water seems to be the one that's ignored the most. I don't know why. Like some of them, they don't even give you the water spell, or they give you like Fire Raga, but they only give you water. They don't give you anything better than that. So I always found that quite strange. The live stream, welcome to the stream, good to see you. Okay, we must be close now. Still capturing Hyperias, we haven't hit 10 of those yet. Yeah, in that sense it was nice that 16 ended up hitting, especially, well, after the DLC they end up hitting all of the elements, I think. Certainly covered all of those. I will do the 16 DLC once I'm done with uploading all of Rebirth. It's already very wild on the channel at the moment, so once I have a little bit of breathing room, we're gonna get the DLC on there as well. Right, I think I'm finished. I think the Hyperia, I'm gonna capture one more Hyperia just to be safe, and then we're gonna finish up. How late am I? Unfortunately, you are about as late as can be, because I'm gonna finish up the stream in basically 2 or 3 minutes, unfortunately. Hopefully next time. But I am going to be doing, as I say, on Saturday, most likely somewhere like 3 PM or 4 PM start time, UK time on Saturday. I'll be doing the 200k subscriber special, and hopefully a bunch of you guys can tune in and we'll have a good time, and I'll show you guys the Final Fantasy 10 kind of boss rush gauntlet thing that I tried to do, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So yeah, that Hyperia is still registered as a capture, so we have either 9 of them captured now or 10, I would say. So until I see that text pop, because I'm not specifically tracking it, unless anyone knows definitively that I've caught 10 of them. Phoenix 516, since it's been a few months, it's still the same. Most of what I said in my 3 months later review still holds. I still think it's a good game. It's a really good game. But I still feel like long term, its legacy might not quite be as strong. It's a very, very, very good first time experience for me. But I don't feel like long term it's going to hold up as like one of the absolute, like one of the best entries in the series. But I think it was definitely good, but I still prefer the Rebirth approach. The closer to OG style approach, I think, for my Final Fantasies. But it's definitely a good effort, but I think they've probably learned a lot from it. And I think Final Fantasy 17 is going to be even more of a banger. So I think it's definitely going to be good. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap up here. Been another good sesh, despite the disappointment of the lightning dodging. It was nice to still make this much progress. We've got a lot of work to do still with this capturing, but hopefully we'll make our way through. And you guys have helped me through the capturing process before with the P-Birdman mod. You've kept me entertained, and we had a good time. And so, yeah, we're going to do it all again. We're going to continue in 2 weeks' time. So thank you guys for joining me. Saturday, hopefully I will see many of you for the 200k special. And yeah, take care. Thank you all for watching.